my honor to bring up here, introduce the energetic, the stylish, the regional director of growth, Russ Legan.
Hey, welcome. Happy Tuesday, Wednesday. What's today? I don't even know. Today's Wednesday. Yes, Wednesday. Today we're going to be talking about eXp Explained. Thank you so much for the introduction. I do appreciate it immensely. And here's the cool part. Today I've got a business partner of mine, Frank Panuto, is going to join me today to talk about eXp Explained. And we're going to kind of kick through what agents need to know to be able to say, is this the right fit for me? Is this the right company to align with for me to be able to take my business to the next level? So if you want to jump Frank in on here, yeah, buddy.
Russ, how you doing, my friends? Good to see you again.
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Frank, you and I have had this conversation a couple times, and one of the things I love about this conversation is we're kind of taking a little bit different spin on it than most people. Instead of saying, let me tell you all about how great eXp is. And listen, don't get me wrong, it is pretty great. But like, what do real estate agents really want to talk about? They've never said, tell me how great your company is, Russ. They like, tell me about what's in it for me. That's what they always go at when we start this conversation. So Frank, let me ask you, you've done this a couple 100,000 times, right? You're like the Yoda of recruiting too, right? So what do agents want to talk about when they sit down in front of you and say, hey, I need to do something different with my business? What do I do different? What do they want to talk about, Frank?
Yeah, so there's a bunch of things. It's a great question, Russ, because especially now where we're in a market that's not the same as it has been the last 2.5, 3 years. I think we can all agree that there's some type of shift going on. We still don't really know where it's going to go, but it may make agents feel a little bit uneasy. So because of that, they're like, hey, listen, I got to make sure that I am in the best situation for me. So when these things are moving, that I can adjust and I'm not going to be out of business as fast as I was in business. So that in mind, saying that, what are things that they're asking us about? Well, number one is, hey, Frank, Russ, how do I sell more houses?
Anybody ever said that out loud?
Well, I know they certainly think it, but yes, they do say that out loud. They come in and knock on your door when you were managing an office. I need to sell more houses. I don't know how to sell more houses.
Yeah. So I think the thing is, it's kind of funny because when we go through this conversation, the first 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 things that they're talking about, they're not saying, hey, Frank, can you show me how to sell more houses? Because I could really use another sale. But everything they're saying is screaming that to me out loud. So I'd be like, so if we could talk about how you could sell more houses being aligned with us, do you want to talk about that? And they say,
yeah.
Heck yeah, that's what I want to talk about, right? Listen, I'm not moving because I'm doing so amazing that I have to move. Right. So sometimes you got to make a shift. Something's got to change. So sometimes that's moving companies. Okay. So let's talk about how to sell more houses. What else do people want to talk about?
Well, as a subset to that, right? Like in order to sell more houses, you need to have more leads, right?
Yeah.
So
all the time.
They're always going to ask about that for sure.
It's funny. I was live yesterday and somebody's like, well, Russ, why don't you tell me about lead? What are you going to do for leads? I'm like, do you get leads from your company right now? And they're like, well, yeah. I'm like, how are those leads? It's like, wait a minute, you got a bunch of crappy leads and you want me to give you leads. It's like, what? Why do you want to reproduce that? Like, why don't we just talk about how do you sell more homes? If I can show you 3 ways to get more homes to come to you, and you don't have to chase a bunch of leads that go nowhere, waste time, busy work. Would you like to talk about that? And they go, well, yeah. Oh, you want to just sell more houses? If you could do that without leads, would you like that? Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about that.
Because they never talk about the conversion rate on those leads, right? You don't even know what that is half the time.
Yeah. Well, I ask them, and I'm like, well, how many of those do you close a month? And they're like, well, it's just the leads are a bunch of junk. Like, so why do you keep wanting more of that? Like, it's not like
now that we've heard a lot. We've definitely heard that one a lot. I can tell you that.
Like, you got to work at 8 to 12 months to get the conversion to be at subpar under working your sphere of influence, right? 1/5 of your sphere of influence conversion rate. If you work it for 12 months, you get 1/5 of that. That's why you're working your butt off and going nowhere, right? That's why it feels like you're just banging your head against the wall. So what else do they want to talk about, Frank?
Well, you're about to get to it. It's the training. And it's interesting because, when you and I are talking to people, we always talk about there's really 2 kinds of agents, right? There are proactive agents and there are reactive agents. Reactive agents tend to get run over when the market's starting to shift like this. Proactive agents kind of know where to go find, where to go hunt and where to go find the food. So they're going to ask us, well, I'm one of those people. What kind of training to have so I make sure I have the right equipment to be able to adjust to this new market?
Agreed. I think the other thing too is a lot of times a lot of these companies are really limited. When I owned my own company, I think I'm a pretty good trainer, Frank, but I'm only one dude with one set of information, right? And if they don't like my recipe that really works well, like it's not a good fit, right? So there's some of these people are in different companies. They're going, I get training all the time, but I really don't want to do that stuff. So the cool part about training here, we'll talk about that, is the sheer diversity of things that are available. Man, if you can't find a recipe that works for you here, it ain't us.
Yeah, well, you're right. The conversation is always going to be geared towards what that person's needs are.
Yeah.
So, what language do we need to speak in that particular conversation? So you're 100% right, as always.
Let's find a recipe that works for you. And there's tons of different opinions on how to do that here. What else is on the list, Frank?
Well, it's like peanut butter and jelly, right? You can't have training without support.
Right. Because it's like that person that can say, okay, you saw that training. Now, how do we implement that in your life, right? How do we actually make that work for you? Or, by the way, I got a couple quick questions, Frank. This makes sense, but, and that support follows directly with that. So I love that. So let's talk about that. And then the last thing, of course, is
it's always going to be commission. And I actually think it's really interesting, because it certainly wasn't planned, that the commission's on the bottom of that list. Because what you and I like to always stress is, if you're taking care of the other ones, you never got to ask about commission. It won't be an issue. Which
is kind of funny how we stack this in when we're talking. And it's really hilarious, because a lot of times when we sit down in these conversations, the first thing an agent asks, well, tell me about the commission. Like, commission's completely irrelevant. If all this other stuff is in place, then the commission's really secondary. Yeah. The ultimate goal is to have more net dollars in your pocket. If we get you 2, 3, 4, 5 more sales, like, now you're 50, 60, 70,000 more dollars in your pocket. Does it really matter that it costs you, 20% of your split to do that? Like, no, because net dollars is what's most important at the end of the year. And people,
how many times you heard that? What's your commission split? Well, our question is, tell me about your business. Because 100% of nothing is still nothing. So
how much money do you want to make?
Yeah, right.
That's a question I know you ask, like, how much money do you want to make? What do they say when they say I want to make how much? I say, how much money do you want to make? Forget the
$100,000 all the time, right? That's the stock answer.
Okay. Yeah. So for everybody that's not making 100K, the stock answer is 100K. There's some people that'll be on here, guys. This we're talking to the majority of people in the business. Keep in mind, average real estate agent nationally sells 4-point-something homes per year. The average real estate agent isn't making anywhere near 100 for the most of the people we're talking to. Going up to 100 is huge. The cool part, Frank, is once you get to 100, hitting 200 is way easier. 300 is way easier. 400, 500, and then the sky's the limit. But you got to start off with that foundation. So some of the people on here can say, well, I got teams and so forth and so on. And we can adjust this up as high as you want. But the majority of people we're talking to are going to be probably in this range and asking about that 100K. Okay. Sure. So let's dig into a couple of ways and let's make sure we're tacking on how do you get to 100K. Okay. So let's start off with, let's skip leads, because that's irrelevant at this point in the game, starting right off. There's some other things we can get into on that, but how do we sell more houses? Training. We're going to start off with training, right?
Yeah. Let's go with training, because you hit a really important point right there. When you're talking about once you get to 100,000, then you get to 200. One thing I know for sure is that you can't get anywhere if you don't have systems, you don't have processes. So training is going to be key. Yeah. Well, there you go. Right. So one of the things that we have, one of the greatest things that we have, is we have 50+ live trainings per week by producing agents at all different levels. It's not just about, hey, here's so-and-so that's doing $40 million in sales a month, and somebody who's just getting started can't relate to that. We have something for everybody. As a matter of fact, Russ brought somebody in last week, a brand new agent, has never just got licensed, has her first listing appointment Thursday. She's working through our mentor program. So, I mean, couldn't be more excited for her,
So Frank, one of my favorite phrases is, if the recipe sucks, it doesn't matter how good a chef you are. Right? Like, I don't know. It just always cracks me up because it's funny, but it really is true. So if your recipe is getting you to whatever you're at now, you got to change something. Let's get a different recipe. And that's the huge part about training. eXp University is the man, university has so much stuff. We should call it eXp Universe, right? They got training on everything national with people that are on the ground working. It's not the guy that did it in the 1970s. He's still talking about that thing that he did in the 1970s. These are people on the ground doing sales now, saying, let me show you what I'm doing. So instead of having competition with people inside the company, we have collaboration with people in the company. So I could talk to somebody in San Diego and they'll tell me exactly what they're doing, because I'm in Detroit. Like, I'm going to compete with them. Like, I'll show you, I'll talk about what I'm doing that's working. And we get people from all over the country showing different things that work. And it's funny. A lot of times something that works in their market will work in our market too, and nobody's doing it yet. So why not try it, right? So in addition to that, of course, we have coaching, right?
Correct. Right.
Tell me a little about coaching.
Well, I mean, the coaching systems we have here are awesome. We have success coaching, which the president of our success coaching is a name that might be known in the industry a little bit.
Little bit.
Yeah, Jarek Robbins, and everybody knows his dad. He's a pretty well-known guy. But Jarek has built a heck of a career on his own, and what he's doing for our agents is awesome. So you have the ability to have these 50 live trainees. You have the ability to collaborate with agents all over the world. You have the ability to have coaching systems. You have the ability to have mentors. So as far as support, training, and what we have to offer agents, it's unmatched.
Yeah, unmatched. And the other thing I really do like too is all of us have our own, I like to call them family trees, right? And we've got a bunch of people in our family trees. And I will tell you what, sometimes there's some amazing things going on in our family tree also, in addition to the formal stuff we do in eXp world and the formal stuff that we do live and the stuff that's recorded in the library that we have. We've got a lot of stuff that's in your family tree, people talking about how to make stuff happen now. And that's where they collaborate, again, live a lot of times on Zooms and so forth. And there's people telling you exactly what they're doing, which I think is phenomenal. So let's dig into that. Go ahead.
It's the virtual part of it. You just touched on something again where it's like, people don't understand this virtual thing that we're doing, Russ, right? We're talking about the family tree. Your family tree may be all over the country.
All over
the world. Could be in other countries. The beautiful thing about our structure, our model, and what we have is most people work in an office every day that has 4 walls, and they can't really see outside of those 4 walls. They depend on everything within those 4 walls. If the manager's not there, I can't get a question answered. If there's nobody there for me to bounce off a listening presentation, where do I go? With our system, the way we work, there are no walls. There's a oneness that really encompasses the entire country, multiple countries, that you can reach out and have access literally at your fingertips, where you never have to worry about, I'll be back in 5 minutes and need you to wait. And that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, or I'm at lunch for 2 hours talking to someone, working through how to make you have more sales, and then I'm completely out of loop and unavailable. So there's almost always somebody available for that.
Correct.
The other thing we talk about a lot is training and support. So now support, hey, Frank, you're a virtual company. And my mother-in-law says this, and I think it's fine. It's like, I don't want to talk to a computer game. I want to talk to a live human, Russ. I'm like, Diane, there's live humans behind all these avatars. It's all live humans. It really is kind of funny. It's virtual, but still highly connected with humans and relationships, right? So tell me a little bit about support. Where are we at with support these days?
Well, it gets back to what we were just talking about with the virtual part of it. So when you go to what we call eXp world, you have this whole universe that we can go into at any time. And, like you said, in a standard traditional company that you may be used to, there may only be 1 or 2 people that you can go to get a question answered. Here, we walk into the world. And like you said, we like to walk up to the deli line and get a ticket. And next thing you know, you were going to be talking to a human being within minutes. There is no, we're out to lunch, I need you to come back later. There's going to be somebody there to answer your question, to give you the support you need whenever you need it. And to me, when we're talking about running a business, we're talking about efficiency and time management, all the struggles that people go through, that they battle, that keeps them from getting to that next level, we have that problem solved.
Yeah, which is amazing. So it's like having access. I think the big part about support is having access, and having access to multiple people. I had a guy ask me yesterday, Frank, he's like, hey, I got this guy. He's doing 200 sales a year, $118 million with his team, and he wants to talk to somebody that can help support him taking it to the next level. And I said, all right, well, I got a team doing 400 or so sales a year only by referral. And then I've got another guy that's doing just under 1,000 sales a year. And he does a bunch of buys of leads and all that stuff. So like, which one do you want to talk to help show that guy what next level is? That guy's like, there's nobody in my area that's doing more business than me. So like, how do I grow? I got to figure it out myself. Like, I got 2 people that are way ahead of you. Let me introduce you to them. That's the kind of support you can't get in a lot of other places, Frank. So
that's an important point too, Russ, because whether you're a single agent, you're a team of 3 people or a team of hundreds of people, we have a whole department of people that will help you make your move. So this is not something you have to take on by yourself. We have so much support here. Hey, so-and-so is coming over and they're a team of 150 people, and we need to make sure that this transition is smooth. But we have a whole department of people to help with that transition. So there's so much more depth to the support that we have that it's just a whole nother level. We can't even get into it today.
Support and concierges. That's how we use the word a lot, right? Specialists and concierges. Good. So we also have a couple of other details that go along with it. We have a workplace, which is really cool. So workplace is a setup where basically it's like we have our own Facebook done by Facebook. Workplace is done by Facebook. And it also ties that in with this little thing called chat. So Frank, at your fingertips at any given time, you have access to be able to communicate with just about anybody in the company. If you can find their name, you can get into them. And then if you can go in workplace, you have at your fingertips questions and answers to all kinds of things from a bunch of different sources, because we've got people in our company that have been brokers in other companies for many, many years. They're here working as agents. And when people type in a question, there's a bunch of people that can jump on and say, hey, let me help you solve that. So you have a whole, a whole village to lean on.
Yeah, well, it's almost like you have not 2 or 3 leaders. You have, thousands and thousands of leaders in this company that can help you direct, whatever you need to go. But you asked another question. Russ, I have a question for you. We are a virtual company. We don't have these offices. We don't have bricks and mortar. What do I do if I have a question for my broker?
Well, that's kind of actually easy for us. We just jump into eXp World. You click on the little outline of your state and you go into the broker room. And then there can be anyone, either the main broker or 2 or 3 or 4 support people that have reasonably normal business hours. And there's almost always one of them on duty in almost every state available for you to talk to at that time. So nobody had access to me. I was a broker for many years with 500, 600, 700 agents under my license at one point or another. Frank, nobody had access to me.
Yeah.
God forbid I went golfing at a golf outing for realtors. Russ is gone for 7 hours. Now everybody's just got to wait, right? Yeah. That doesn't happen, which I love that solution that we have. Of course, you got a lot of stuff local. People say, well, but Russ, I don't have a local office to go to. You got a bunch of local people getting together on a regular basis. We got local events and various things that come in. People do teaching, training, growing. If you don't feel connected, it's because you're not plugging in. There's a bunch of places you can plug in, and you just got to say, how do I plug in? And if you get stuck, just reach out to Frank or I. We'll tell you where to plug in. Right?
Well, not to mention that everybody does get a free Regis account in case they were interested. Hey, there's no offices. You know what? As an eXp agent, you get a free account for Regis. Yeah. We have offices all over the world. So you can go in and use it whenever you want. And it's just another misnomer that's out there that we don't have anything. We have it all.
Yeah. Frank, I had a $20,000 a month office, 7,000 square foot for my team. And you know where I did my sales meetings? At the new home construction, because the new home construction people wanted to talk to my team. I'd bring my team there. They'd see the new construction. We'd get a free lunch. The new construction people got to talk to us, and my people got to figure out that you could do new construction sales and you make way more money in way less time. I love that gig, right?
Yeah, sure. Of course.
Out in the market. So you can do meetings there all the time. They loved it when I came in, pulled up a chair and had a meeting with somebody or met an agent or met a customer. So they want people in that building. So let's dive in. So now we've got the support. We got the parts and pieces in place. Let's talk about the commission. Let's dig into that. Commission structure. Okay. Sure. So let's talk about the commissions real quick.
Yeah, I think our commission structure is extremely aggressive and extremely agent-centric. It's all focused about the agent. So everybody comes in on an 80-20 split. Yep.
And we cap them at $16,000. Once they cap at $16,000, what happens then?
At that point, the cap goes down to, there's not even a cap. The cap is over. You'll just get charged a $250 fee for every transaction moving forward until you get to about 20 transactions, because that will cap at $5,000.
Yep. Okay.
And then at that point, it will drop to $75 per transaction.
So here's the fun part. You do 80, 20, $16,000 cap. They give you a $400 stock grant when you hit your cap. Then you drop to $250 per sale for the next 20. And then once you hit that, you are qualifying for Icon Production, which, by the way, they'll give you $8,000 back of your cap for the production award, right? Which is pretty cool. And then you're at $75 a transaction in perpetuity. So you got a team going. I mean, when you're looking at you get that certain number up and you're at 50, 60, 70, 80 sales, it's kind of nice because it costs you next to nothing. I had a guy the other day, he's at 58 or 59 sales. I'm like, it's going to cost you about $7,000 a year to be with eXp to do all of those sales. And the guy's like, come on, really? I walked him through this and he's like, dude, that's crazy. And I'm like, I know. So the goal is get to that 27, 20, 30, 35, hit that icon status, get some of that money back in stock grants, which is another part of the thing we'll talk about in a minute. Okay. So here's the rest of it. So what does it cost per month for this?
It is $85 a month. Is a fee?
Yep. $85 a month. Okay. And what's included in that $85 a month? That is what we call tech fee, right? So that includes your CRM, that includes KV Core, that includes SkySlope, that is the transaction management program, all the rest of the stuff. Anything else?
Yep, there's a fee per transaction before we get to that $5,000, and it's $65 per transaction. So we have $40, which is what everybody calls E&O insurance.
Yeah, which is really
there's a $25 broker review fee. So to make sure that everything's in compliance.
Yep, there you go. Okay, so $40 risk management fee that caps at $500, which is kind of nice. So it covers the risk, but it's not an astronomical number. And then $25 compliance review on every single file that goes in, which is cool. We utilize a program called SkySlope, which is phenomenal. Talk about time saver. You want to sell more houses. Don't spend a bunch of hours dealing and farting around with paperwork, right? SkySlope helps you streamline your business. One of the things I love the most about SkySlope, Frank, is that they have the program DigiSign built into that. And when you send documents out to sign, when they sign them, they come right back in. They go right back in the file where the person is. So you don't have to go find them, cut them, paste them, clip them, save them, repay. You don't have to upload them. They automatically drop in there, and then you can move things around to get the compliance check done. And when you got everything done, it turns green. Super simple time saver, which I love. Good. Anything else we need to know about commissions? I think we got that.
I think you cover it there. We got a couple more topics we definitely want to hit here in the last 7 minutes. So, let's touch on the lead gen thing, because they do want to ask about it, and it's certainly something we hear about. So let's touch on that a little bit.
Okay, so lead gen, there's a couple different things that are important. If you're not currently using a CRM, you want to use a CRM. We have KV Core, guys. It's about the biggest, baddest, robust monster you can imagine. Another part of the cool part is that there's a bunch of training on how to use it. So if you get lost in that, like I do, there are some people that will talk to my level, which is 101 level on CRMs. If you're not using one, you should use one. And this is a great source for leads. There's a couple different ways within KV Core that you're able to actually generate business and have business come to you. Within that system, also, they have the Make It Rain program, which is some paid lead generation things that you can do. But I do the free stuff first, get the ball rolling, get good at it. And then if you want to add to it, add some paid stuff to it. But you want to use KV Core to contact with your sphere and get those sphere contacts up. That's where most likely businesses come from. In addition to that, Frank, we have OpCity, which I happen to really like. OpCity is pretty cool. It's a partnership with OpCity. What they do is they hand you live humans ready to go. They do the lead generation. They incubate the leads. And then when a person's like, hey, Frank, I'm ready to go, Frank live transfers them to a person saying, hey, click the button, accept. And the phone rings, go, hey, I got somebody that wants to buy a $350,000 house. They're ready to go now. Do you have time to talk to them? And my response every time is, heck yeah, that's why I picked up the phone, baby. So OpCity is a great way to generate some business coming in with zero cost up front. They charge a small referral fee on the backside of 30 or 35%, depending on the property, but you're getting live transfer leads of people ready to go. Do all of them buy a house immediately? No, it doesn't work like that anywhere, but there's a bunch of them that do. And I know people that have 2 and 3 closings a month just from OpCity leads. I can name names, right? So it can be a great system.
And there's two other lanes that, I think people need to understand about is, with us being virtual and in touch with everybody, your opportunity for referrals is much larger, because it's not a matter of I have to go to a third party relocation department and they have to go find somebody in another state and then they have to do this and that. I'm online in that workplace chat. Hey, I need an agent in Michigan. I need a great agent in Detroit. And I got it. I have in 5 seconds. So your opportunity for referrals is really, really good. That's number one. Yeah. Number two is our marketing department, the tab that we have for the agents. When you go in there, for a guy like me that's not overly tech savvy, there's stuff in there to teach you how to do things on social media, to help you with mailers, to help you with postcards. Everything's there. So one of the biggest problems that we have when people don't know how to get to that next level, Russ, is they don't have systems in place. Agreed. But we provide all that on our platform for them. Agreed. So your opportunity to lead gen through the systems that we have, it's right there for you.
Amazing. The last part of this piece of the puzzle, we got 4 minutes left, Frank, so we're going to buzz through exit fast. Talk about getting out quick. Exit fast. One of the things that we do that is unusual in the market and something most people hadn't seen is offering stocks. For those of you that paid a franchise fee of 6%, 7% over all these years, can you imagine if you took all that money and reinvested it back in yourself? We have a system where if you you can take up to 5% of your commission check, invest it back in yourself, and they'll sell you the stock at a 10% discount. So you're already making money right out of the gate, helps set you up for an exit. Think about doing that for 8 or 9 or 10 years. In addition to that, Frank, you get $200 stock grant when you have your first closing, right? They give you a $400 stock grant when you cap. Of course, when you hit icon status, you can fully get back that $16,000 cap with a couple conditions met that are very doable for most people. And then, of course, the last thing we have for exit plan is revenue share. And Frank, I'm going to give you a quick summary of that so we can blast through fast. Basically, what this says is, hey, in the course of doing business and selling houses, the more houses you sell, the more people you bump into, the more realtors you meet. And a realtor says, hey, Russ, what's the deal with that thing over there that you guys are doing with that thing? I tell them what that's all about. They come over here. They make the company a little bit of money. Shouldn't I get paid on that too? Yeah. And then that person brings somebody along And shouldn't we make a little money off of them too? Because they wouldn't have been here if I didn't bring my guy. They wouldn't have brought that guy. So this thing sets up in a 7-tier system. So you get rewarded for what you're doing. So as you're helping build the company, you get reward, and you can get a small portion of their paycheck, small portion of the gross commission income off of every one of their checks that they get every single month. It gets paid out, and those little checks can start to really add up. And that's why some people get crazy with telling everybody about it, because they're super excited because it works really well for them. But for those of you that want to sell houses, do that. If you want to have other streams of income, you can also do that. And that revenue sharing portion is absolutely priceless in that. What do you think about that, Frank?
Well, I just, people are so, especially high producing engagers, are so laser focused on getting that next deal that the concept of having multiple streams of income is not even in their head, because they've never seen that model before. Especially they've been in this for a long time. They've been in the industry for 10, 15, 20 years. They've never heard of something like this. So it was one of the big factors for me for making the move is, you know what? I want to have multiple streams. It's kind of like when you're going to buy an investment property. Isn't it nice to have a multi-unit house as opposed to one? If the if one of the units is empty, you still have money coming in another unit. So that the concept of being able to actually have a plan that I can retire. And by the way, that money keeps coming even though I step out of the business, which is all part of the conversation. To have that opportunity, Russ, it's phenomenal. It really is.
In conjunction with that, of course, there's a bunch of different ways to build teams within here. You want to talk about mega teams. There's a bunch of ways to build teams. We've got a team comp plan that actually gives you a half cap if you have under 10 people on your team. If you get 10 or more, you can go to a mega agent team, which is a 4,000 cap for all your teammates, which allows them to keep more money in their pocket, you to keep more money in your pocket, and actually build a team of your dreams if you want. So sky's the limit with this. Frank, I'm going to have to sign off here because we got stuff to do, places to go, and we are at the top of the hour, baby. Man, that was Firecracker 500. If you want more information, you need to know more, reach out to whoever brought you here, sent you here, or reach out to one of us. We'd be happy to help talk you through the conversation. How do you apply this to your business so you can put more money in your pocket, get to that 100 grand, 200, 300, 400, make this business the business of your dreams. That's what you got in it for, and you can do that here, and that's what I love. So, Frank, thank you for this week. I appreciate it. We're going to sign off, and we'll see you guys again. We'll do this next week. Full throttle, full contact. See ya.